Hello everyone, welcome to Guidance IAS. Today we'll be covering current affairs for the third week of March, and our first topic is belongs to polity, which is GS paper 2, and the first topic is supplementary demand for grants. Here we will be understanding, like always, we'll first be understanding the contextual part of it as to why it was in news and why is it important for our examination perspective, and then we will come to the static portion of it, okay, wherein we'll be understanding certain constitutional provisions related to it and also certain definitions related to it, right? Let us start with the context first. So the context was that recently what has happened, our government has sought approval from the parliament to spend some extra money, which is some 1.07 lakh crore in the current fiscal year or the current financial year. So this will be the extra money. So yahan par we need to understand that what is this extra money and what are these supplementary demand for grants means. Okay, so let me take you to this. In our constitution we have certain types of other grants or the extra grants, right? We know this, our constitution guarantees this. What are those types of other grants? I'll be quoting certain other grants to you. Like for example, first is the additional grant. I'll be explaining each and every one of them, so do not worry. Second is excess grant. Third is vote of credit. Fourth could be the exceptional grant, right? And there are many more, but today we will be defining these grants, ठीक है? And then we will come to the supplementary grant as well, so do not worry. Additional grant में क्या होता है? So let me tell you the entire logic behind it. Suppose we know that we plan a monthly expenditure for our family, ठीक है? But suppose we have planned 100 rupees as a monthly expenditure for our family, but somehow वो 100 रुपए के अलावा something happens in between, some kind of emergency comes in between, like for example किसी का accident हो गया. Now we need extra money for that, ठीक है? Whatever we have decided to spend in that particular month, we would be needing extra money because of those unforeseen demands or those circumstances, like for example somebody's accident, ठीक है? तो इसीलिए we need more money for that, right? Similarly it happens with the government also. Government also plans a budget for one financial year, right? But there are certain circumstances which arises in between or after the financial year, and there are certain extraordinary things which comes in between, wherein government need more money than what it has prescribed for that particular financial year, right? So in order to fulfill those demands, जो unforeseen demands होती हैं, जो extra circumstances आ जाते हैं, उनको फुलफिल करने के लिए वी हैव दीज टाइप ऑफ अदर ग्रांट्स, जिसमें सबसे पहला है एडिशनल ग्रांट. सपोज गवर्नमेंट वांट टू गिव सर्टेन सर्विस which was not covered or which was not decided earlier, ठीक है? During planning for the budget of a particular financial year, it was not covered, and government now has decided that we want to give this particular service to our country, but definitely क्योंकि इसके लिए पैसा तो अलॉट हुआ नहीं है पहले से, तो गवर्नमेंट वुड बी नीडिंग मोर मनी टू फॉर दिस, ठीक है? तो ऐसी ग्रांट्स को हम बोलते हैं एडिशनल ग्रांट, वेयर इन वी नीड additional money for some additional services we are providing, right? So this is which was not covered in the fiscal year's budgeting, right? So this comes under additional grant. If we talk about excess grant, suppose government has given 50 rupees to a particular scheme, right? But उस scheme पे हम 100 rupees खर्च हो जाते हैं, right? So 50 rupees they have given, but instead of 50 we spend 100 rupees, right? So this extra 50 government would be giving, right? after the approval of PAC, that is Public Account Committee. So after once the PAC will approve it, government will give this excess money or the extra money for that particular service जिस पे हमने extra spend किया है. Next is vote of credit. Vote of credit is like a blank check. This is like a blank check given to whom? Given to the executives by what? By parliament or by Lok Sabha, right? Next is exceptional grant. Exceptional, as the name indicates, it is for some special purposes, right? कोई special purpose आ जाता है in the financial year which we have not planned for, and it arises suddenly, so we grant some money for that special purpose, which comes under exceptional grant. I hope these grants are clear to you. Now let us come to our previous slide, which is supplementary 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 grant, right? So I hope all the grants are clear to you. Now what is important, another point what is important for us is to understand कि क्या constitutional provisions है related to this grant. So article 125 में ये लिखा हुआ है, और article 125 guarantees all these grants that parliament would be providing. All these grants is guaranteed under constitution, under article 115 में comes supplementary grant, ठीक है, for some supplementary or some additional purposes, right? Second is additional grant and excess grant जो हमने अभी समझा है. Article 116 guarantees vote on account, vote of credit and certain exceptional grants, right? So this was about the context and the constitutional provisions regarding the grants or the other type of grants. Up next, we have wearing hijab is not an essential religious practice, says Karnataka High Court. So recently, you know, this has been a very controversial topic as to what are the essential religious practices, and some people were of the opinion that girls should be allowed wearing hijab. Some people were of the opinion that they should not be, as it is not their essential, it is not a part of their integral religious practices or essential religious practices. Today we will be understanding it not with the polity or with the politics point of view. We'll be understanding it with the constitutional provisions, okay, with the legal framework as to what the constitution talks about it, or what the Supreme Court has to say on it, or what the courts for that matter has to say on it. So recently High Court has said that wearing hijab is not an essential part of it. We know that there were certain Muslim girls who filed a petition against it, that we should be allowed to wear hijabs in the school, or it should be a part of our school uniform. But High Court said that no, you are not allowed, or this is not an essential part of your religious practices. Therefore it is not, it is not your constitutional right to wear it, okay? So as I have told you, the context is this, that there were certain Muslim girls who wanted hijabs to be the part of their uniform. Let me, before moving ahead with the entire topic, I want you to have a look at this. First, you must know hijab hota kya hai, because there are certain different kind of head wears girls wear. So सबसे पहला, this is burqa, which covers all your entire face including your eyes. Then you have niqab, जहाँ पर आपकी eyes visible होती हैं. The third, the last one is the hijab, wherein your face is visible. ठीक है, आप ऐसे सर ढके होते हैं, but your face is visible. So you must understand the differences between them, right? Coming back to our topic, the context is clear to you. Now, what is important for us is to understand a very important case, which is Shirur Math case 1954 में जो हुआ था, and the doctrine of essentiality which came during this case. So Shirur Math case mein 1954 mein, there was Supreme Court came up with a very important thing called doctrine of essentiality. What is doctrine of essentiality? Doctrine of essentiality mein actually Supreme Court took this responsibility that we will be, or Supreme Court will be deciding as to what are the religious practices, what are the essential religious practices, and what are the non-essential religious practices, so that Supreme Court can protect the essential practices which are integral to a religion, right? And this is not the first time when doctrine of essentiality has been used. Even before this, in Babri Masjid case, if you remember, in Babri Masjid case, and then in Sabrimala temple case, doctrine of essentiality has been used by different courts, right, so as to understand, or so as to, you know, interpret the essential practices pertaining to a particular religion, right. I hope doctrine of essentiality is clear to you. Now, the Karnataka High Court is of the opinion that wearing hijab is not essential practices, right. Therefore, this cannot be a part of the uniform. Okay? And also, it also says that we are doing this, it does not mean that we are infringing or violating your constitutional right guaranteed under Article 19, which is right to freedom, and under Article 21, which is right to privacy, right. So any of this is not, it's not been violated of any of the girls, or any of the group, basically, right. Okay. Now, अगर आपने आर्टिकल 19 को, if you have ever read properly, there are certain reasonable restrictions given under article 19, right. Reasonable restrictions, as in there are certain limitations on the freedom of an individual, on the grounds of what? There are certain grounds. I am going to list out all the grounds. The grounds are: first is sovereignty and integrity of India. So if anything is infringing the integrity of India, that should be restricted and is an exception under article 19, or is a reasonable restriction under article 19. Along with security of a state, along with friendly relation with the foreign state, public order अगर किसी तरह से hamper हो रहा है, so that could also be a ground to to uh, uh, to the reasonable restrictions under Article 19. Then you have decency and morality, contempt of court, defamation, and incitement to an offense. So these are the reasonable restrictions we have under Article 19, or the limitations. Okay? These are the grounds. Okay. So I hope the entire context is clear to you. We have also seen what hijab is, and the entire case we've understood. Up next, we have India's draft medical device policy. We know that we import a lot of devices, a lot of medical devices, around 80% we import, right? 80% we import, and our target is to reduce it to 30%. ठीक है कि medical devices हम 30% import करें. So to bring it to 30 from 80, we need to come up with some policy, we need to come up with some idea. Also, not just this is not the only problem. There's another problem. The problem is that we spend our per capita spending is very less. ठीक है, इंडिया में per capita spending on medical devices is very less. So we want to enhance that as well. We want to increase that as well. So in order to do both of these things, ये दोनों चीजें करने के लिए, we have come up with this policy called India's Draft Medical Devices Policy. Let us understand that. So Department of Pharmaceuticals, that is, which comes under Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, has come up with this policy, has come up with this draft. अभी ये आगे होगा तो ये bill बनेगा, and then, you know, but this is just in a draft stage as of now. What are the highlights of the bill? This is important, and let us understand the highlights of the bill. सबसे पहले है, it is to increase the competitiveness, and how it will going to increase the competitiveness by giving the financial stability, ठीक है, to the manufacturers, right. It is going to increase the competitiveness among them, right. So this is the one of the highlights of this policy. Second highlight says, or the second point says, that it is going to incentivize the core technology, ठीक है, ताकि, you know, core technology projects and export through tax refunds and rebates. So definitely there should be certain rebates in the taxation system, so that it can be promoted, so that the export could be promoted. Third is adopt PPP model, ताकि कहीं ना कहीं पूरे, you know, पूरी चीज की जो आपकी कॉस्ट है, कॉस्ट एफिशिएंसी है, उसको हम रिड्यूस कर सके, राइट. सो दिस इज वन पॉइंट. फोर्थ इज सिंगल विंडो क्लियरेंस सिस्टम. वी नो कि अगर आपको, you know, for any medical device, suppose you want to come up with some medical device, you need license for that, right. लाइसेंस आपको चाहिए होता है, and if you have a single platform to get your license, to submit all your documents, it will be very easier for you to get it. So we should have a single window clearance system to get all the licenses and work done in order to get in line with this policy, right? Next is encourage cross industry collaboration. Then we have increase the share of medical technology companies in the research and development. So this is very very important. Research and development mein we should increase the share of medical technology companies, right? And then a dedicated fund to encourage joint research involving existing industry players, reputed academic institution, and startups, of course, right? So this was about medical device policy. I hope it is clear to you. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Next topic is पर तापी नर्मदा river linking project. I hope आपने इस साल का budget you must have heard of it and you must have read also अभी तक. So anything which is mentioned in the budget becomes quite important for our examination too. Same goes with this topic. It was mentioned in this year's budget that our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she said that we will be coming up with some, or I think there were 5 projects she was talking about, that we will be coming up with 5 river interlinking projects, wherein one was this, another was Ken Betwa was also there. ठीक है, एक ये था. So that, what was the reason behind it? The reason was, we know that in our country there are certain regions which has water in surplus, and on the other hand there are certain regions wherein the water is very less, or there are drought like conditions present there. ठीक है. So in order to connect both the areas and solve the प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ बोथ द एरियाज, एक जगह पर फ्लड लाइक सिचुएशंस कम हो जाएंगे और दूसरी जगह पर ड्राउट्स कम हो जाएंगे. ठीक है. इफ वी कैन channelize the water properly from the flood areas to the drought areas, right? This was the agenda behind it. Also there are many more advantages and many more benefits of this, but this was the major idea behind it. And since this was mentioned in the budget, this becomes very very important for our examination perspective too. Today we'll be understanding the context, as well as we will see where exactly and how exactly are we going to achieve it. All right. So the context is the tribals of Gujarat, because this is this type of interlinking projects carries a lot of problems or a lot of disadvantage as well with it, along with the benefits. So कुछ disadvantages के चलते हुए ही certain tribals who lives in Gujarat, they were protesting against this. Okay, because they are facing some displacement issues. They are facing what? The tribals are facing displacement issues. उनको डिस्प्लेस किया जा रहा है. That is why they were protesting against this. Let us understand about the project itself. So as you can see in the map, the 3 rivers, the first one is Par river, right? The Par river, you can see here, it originates from Nashik, right, where in Maharashtra, and it flows through Valsad. Okay. Second river, river Tapi, it starts from Satpura and it flows through Maharashtra and Surat, then in Gujarat. Then is Narmada. Narmada is here. You can also remember their order. You never know. UPSC can ask you to arrange the rivers from north to south or east to west. So you must remember the order as well, right? So Narmada, which originates in Madhya Pradesh and it flows through Maharashtra, Bharuch, and then Gujarat. Okay. Okay. So there's another point I would like to make here, and I would want all of you to see in this map, these red color points you can see, these are the dams. So these are the dams, or in dams ko hi use karke we are going to channelize the water of these rivers and accomplish our target. Okay? So these are the 7 dams we will be constructing and channelizing the water, right? Okay. Now, the question is why it was opposed, why this project was opposed. So it was opposed due to I have already told you there are certain issues, there are certain environmental concerns. Right? Along with there are certain displacement issues. So these are the major issues which people of that place are facing, and that is why this project was opposed. Okay? But along with this, there are certain benefits too. Okay? What are the benefits? Benefits, first benefit I've told you, that flood-like situation will be solved at certain areas. Then drought-like conditions will be solved at another areas. ठीक है, लोगों को पानी अच्छे से मिलने लग जाएगा. ठीक है. So these are some of the benefits also people are going to get. It's not that it's only disadvantages for the environment. People are going to get benefited also from this, right? So this was about this river interlinking project. Make sure that you revise it before your exam. Okay, चलिए. Next up we have National Commission for Scheduled Tribe. National Commission for Scheduled Tribe. Let us quickly jump to the context. So recently there was a report which said that this National Commission for Scheduled Tribe, we also call it NCST, they say the report said that it has been dysfunctional from some years and it is not delivering the work properly. Okay? And it has also mentioned that there are certain reasons for it. What are those reasons? First reason is that the manpower and budget is short here. So due to the shortage of the manpower and the budgetary allocation, this is happening. Second is complaints resolution. Complaints resolution mechanism is also very is also very delayed here in this particular department. So these are the few challenges this department is facing, and hence is being dysfunctional from certain years. But what is more important here for us to understand is to know about NCST itself, or National Commission for Scheduled Tribe itself. We know that this came through through an amendment under Article 338. तो हमने amendment करके we came up with Article 338A. So A is the amendment, ठीक है? With 89th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2003. ठीक है? So this was the Constitutional Amendment Act which brought NCST. Earlier, what was it? Earlier they were combined, right? They were combined which two bodies? NCST and NC, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes and National Commission for, ठीक है, NCST and NCST, they were combined, and both of these bodies, or they basically together got replaced by the different bodies, or separated bodies now, which is NCST, and another is NCST, which is National Commission for Scheduled Caste, right? If we talk about the composition of it, so the chairperson, vice chairperson, और जितने भी members होते हैं, they hold office for 3 years, and they are also appointed by the president, having seal under his hand. ठीक है? So 3 years is their term. This is an important point. You must remember that there should be at least one woman member they have in their entire team, or the entire composition should contain of one woman member. This is important for our exam too. And there is another point जो आपके लिए ज़रूरी है, which is that they are not eligible for the appointment for more than 2 years. 2 सालों के बाद, I mean 2 terms, not 2 years, 2 terms के बाद, right? They will be not eligible for the reappointment, right? I have put some constitutional and the non-constitutional bodies here. Let us quickly revise them. Okay? You never know, they'll come handy in your prelims examination. So the constitutional bodies are Election Commission, UPSC, State PSCs, Finance Commission, National Commission for Scheduled Caste, then Scheduled Tribes. So this topic which we are reading today comes under constitutional. This is a part of constitutional body. Next we have Special Officer for Linguistic Minority, and then we have CAG, which is Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Then we have Attorney General of India and Advocate General of India. If we talk about the non-constitutional bodies, first we have Planning Commission, और अभी तो है नहीं, ठीक है, अभी तो got replaced by नीति आयोग. Then we have NDC, National Development Council. Then we have National Human Rights Commission, States Human Rights Commission, CIC, that is Central Information Commission. Then we have SIC, Central Vigilance Commission, CVC, CBI we have, and then we have Lokpal and Lokayuktas, right? So this you should remember the names at least. Okay, chaliye. Next up, we have the current affairs belongs to the next paper, which is economy, and the first topic in economy we have is agri stack. पहले हम समझ लेते हैं agri stack का मतलब क्या होता है. Agri stack से आप बहुत easily, if you want to understand, or in simple words, it is basically the digitalization of agriculture. It is what? Digitalization of agriculture. What is the context here? That the government is working on digitalizing the agriculture, or digitalizing the records of agriculture. ठीक? If we talk about it, we have already studied that this is just a digital database of the farmers or their land records or the entire agriculture. Okay, what are certain significance, what are certain features of it? That it will be targeting the precise subsidies. Suppose we have a proper record of a farmer, we will be able to supply the subsidies directly into their bank account. Okay, so it will be easier for the government to target the subsidy to the right person, right? Also, second is program may they will be providing an id to every farmer, which will be called, which we will call FID, that is farmers ID, which will be linked to their land records, ताकि हम उनको आइडेंटिफाई कर सके, ताकि वो यूनिकली आइडेंटिफाई हो सके. सो बेसिकली टू इंक्रीज द क्रेडिट access and to reduce the you can say the shortcomings in the supply chain shortcomings in supply chain, we are coming up with this. Okay, I hope AgriStack is clear to you. So if nothing you remember in your examination, just one thing if you can remember, which is digitalization of agriculture. I'm sure with this one particular hint only you'll be able to eliminate certain options. तो इतना तो आपको याद रखना ही है. ठीक है. Up next we have reform based on resource linked revamped distribution sector scheme. I know it's too lengthy to be remembered. Such a lengthy scheme, but the meaning is very easy. It's very easy to understand. Let me tell you, first of all, the whole thing is related to the discom companies. Discom companies, or the electricity distribution companies. Okay? What has recently happened, that this REC and PFC, which is basically the Rural Electrification Corporation and Power Finance Corporation. They are the state-run lenders that are the nodal leading agency. They are the nodal leading agencies. So they have for 3.03 lakh, they've revamped the RDSS, which is revamped distribution sector scheme. Abhi hum ye samjhenge what the scheme is all about. ठीक है? So let us directly jump to that only, to our understanding part, or to our definitional part. So this basically, this entire scheme is to do what? Is to make our discoms work better. We know a lot of government discoms, or the government distribution companies are under debt. So to take them out of that debt and to provide them that financial stability and provide them with that operational efficiency, we are doing this particular scheme, or we are basically helping them to come out of the entire debt they carry. I would like to make one point here, that you must remember, ये बहुत important है, that this particular scheme is just for the government discom companies, government distribution companies only. This is not for private companies. ये private companies like for example Reliance, Tata, ये उनके लिए नहीं है जो electricity supply करते हैं. This is just for the government companies. ठीक है? So this is to help them with their operational efficiency and the financial stabilities, and this is only for the government companies, not for the private companies. So this is something you need to remember. If we talk about the highlights of the scheme, we have already talked about that we will be providing them some money so that they can come out of the debt, and they can improve the what will they do with that money? They will improve the infrastructure. Okay? They will improve the infrastructure, which can further in turn enhance the supply to the consumer. So basically electricity अच्छे से बहुत affordable, बहुत reliable consumer तक पहुंच सके. All of this is targeting this particular point only. Next point, or the next highlight of the scheme, is that they will be the scheme will be involving what? Smart metering ecosystem, ताकि कहीं ना कहीं एक you can say the commercial or the technical losses of electricity is less. ठीक है, commercial and the technical losses are less अगर हमने smart metering अपने घरों में use करना शुरू कर दिया तो. The scheme has a major focus on improving the electricity supply to the farmers also so that उनकी irrigation में help हो सके, right, and then further क्रॉप्स को बेनिफिट हो सके, राइट. सो दीज आर सर्टेन इंपॉर्टेंट हाईलाइट्स आई हैव कोटेड. अगर हम इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की बात करें, सो देर आर टू नोडल एजेंसीज, देर आर टू बॉडीज आई हैव ऑलरेडी कवर्ड. फर्स्ट इज REC, रूरल इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन कॉर्पोरेशन लिमिटेड, एंड थर्ड इज सेकेंड इज पावर फाइनेंस कॉर्पोरेशन. दीज आर द टू नोडल एजेंसीज जो इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने का पूरा काम करेंगी. आई होप इट इज क्लियर टू यू. लेट मी टेक यू टू अ डायग्रामेटिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन फॉर योर बेटर क्लैरिटी. This is the diagram wherein this is the power plant which generate the electricity. It transmit the electricity to the to this, and then the transmission lines carry the electricity to the distances, and finally it reaches the houses with the another distribution lines. Okay, so this is the entire process, just to let you know. Up next, we have India plans for rupees 24,000 crore sovereign green bond issuance. Okay, here there are 2-3 things we'll be understanding. First is what are green bonds. Okay. Second, of course, the context we'll read initially, and then we'll understand what are green bonds, and we'll also understand what was the need for it, or what is the significance of it. We know that in COP26, which held in Glasgow, UK, we promised, India as a country promised that we will be becoming a net zero country by 2070, right? We promised what? Net zero by 2070. Now, what is net zero? Net zero is carbon emission in the atmosphere. Whatever units of carbon we are emitting in the carbon in the atmosphere, we should absorb it too. So the carbon emission in the atmosphere should be equivalent to the carbon absorption from the environment or from the atmosphere, right? This is becoming net zero. ये है net zero, and we have promised to achieve it by 2070. Okay. Also, we know that we are the third largest electricity consumer. If we talk about at a global level, India is the third largest electricity consumer. So we definitely need certain renewable sources so that we can do things sustainably, especially for our environment. Okay. Okay. What is the context that we have issued this much crores, okay, in sovereign green bonds? Sovereign green bonds क्या होते हैं, हम ये समझ लेते हैं. Sovereign green bonds, they are like bonds only. ठीक है, जैसे bonds होते हैं to raise money. ठीक है, they are also there to raise money, but this money, since it is green, since it is sovereign green, so this will be used for the purpose of tackling climate change or the environmental changes, right? The money will be used in these purposes. That is why it is also called green bonds. What is the need of it? We have understood that there is a lot of carbon we are emitting. We are the third largest. We not just the consumer, we are one of the largest emitters as well. So such kind of technology, such kind of bonds, or such kind of technologies, we definitely need so that we can sustainably help our environment and in turn help ourselves to grow better and healthy, right? Okay, so this was about green bonds. Up next, we have social stock exchange. Social stock exchange, this term initially came in 2019 budget. ठीक है, सोशल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज. रिसेंट का कॉन्टेक्स्ट हम समझ लेते हैं, उसके बाद हम इसका पूरा इसका पूरा मतलब एंड इट्स सिग्निफिकेंस वी विल अंडरस्टैंड. बट फर्स्ट रिसेंटली हम समझ लेते हैं क्या हुआ है. रिसेंटली सेबी ने कुछ ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म्स को आइडेंटिफाई करा. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देयर वर सम पीपल ऑन ट्विटर और यूट्यूब. सो दे वर डूइंग व्हाट, they were basically, of course there were certain unregistered advisors on such platforms जो कि लोगों को एडवाइज कर रहे थे ऑन दी स्टॉक और स्टॉक, ठीक है, स्टॉक मार्केट में एक कहीं ना कहीं आप बोल सकते हो मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन या मिसलीड करने का काम कर रहे थे. सो सेबी हैज रिसेंटली क्रैक डाउन अपॉन all of them. That is why it was in news. But what is more important for us to understand is what is social stock. So हमें पता है if any private company or any company for that matter, if they want to raise money, like for example if Reliance want to raise money, they'll issue their stocks, and they'll that's how they they collect money. Similarly, if there is a social enterprise, there is a social enterprise who needs money, they will be using this social stock exchange, because this money which will they will be getting from it, they can only use in for the social purpose. Social purpose, like for example, they can use them to eradicate poverty, to educate people, okay? Or in women empowerment they can use, or in climate change they can use, to tackle the climate change. So anything which is a social which is a social cause, they can use this money in such causes, ठीक है. That is why it is called social, ठीक. Social stock exchange की अगर हम बात करें, so this is basically a network for raising money for the social ventures. We have understood what social ventures are, and we've already understood that they are used to raise money like any other company would do. But the only difference is that the money is used in the social welfare, or the social causes, right? So I hope the entire thing is clear to you as to what was the context, what was it, and what is the significance of it. All right. Up next, we have news which is related to international relations, next paper, and the first topic itself in this we have is Act East policy. Act East policy से जाने से पहले I want you to I don't want you to get confused with a term called look east policy. Look east and this is Act East. These two are different policy. हाँ हम बोल सकते हैं Act East is just the expansion of it, but definitely there is certain difference between them. तो मैं उसको ही पहले समझा देती हूँ. So recently एक webinar conduct हुआ था on Act East, इसलिए ये news में था, but हमारे लिए important है to know about Act East and to also know briefly about Look East. So let me just हाँ जी let me just give you a brief differentiation between Look East and Act East policy. This was basically, this came in 1991 when P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister of our country. This came in, I think, after, you can say, this came after 2014 when Modi government came. After 2014, right? This was basically targeting the ASEAN countries. This is not just targeting the ASEAN countries, but also the, you can say, the more eastern countries. Also, they are targeting. This was majorly focusing upon the economy. Okay? This is not just focusing on the economy, but this is also focusing or trying to build relationship with the countries with respect to or pertaining to the cultural dimension. So culture is one domain where we are trying to expand our relationship or friendship with the other countries. Then we have strategic interests also here when it comes to Act East policy. So you can say that this is just has broadened, right? इसके जो भी aspects है वो broad हो गए हैं, ठीक है. Now we are trying to cover a bigger circle, right? So this is the major difference. Okay, we've understood Look East and Act East. Let me change the color. Hanji, we've understood Look East and Act East. If we see in the map, so these are, we know these are the ASEAN countries, and now through through Act East, we are also focusing upon countries. Yeah. such as yeah, we are also expanding ourselves, ठीक है, towards this region also, towards Japan वगैरह, ठीक है. So we are expanding ourselves. This is the map जो आपको थोड़ा सा clarity देगा कि हम कौन से region की exactly बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. So this was about Act East policy. There's another point I'd like to make, that अभी मैंने बोला कि वी आर ट्राइंग टू बिल्ड अप आर रिलेशनशिप स्ट्रेटेजिकली. तो स्ट्रेटेजिकली वो कहाँ पर हेल्प करने वाला है? इट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प अस इन काउंटरिंग दी China. So if we have good relationship with all these countries, kahin na kahin we will be a net security provider in the Indian Ocean region, and we will be able to counter China as well, along with if we have good relation with these ASEAN and these Eastern countries. So this is really really important for us. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज इंडियाज आर्कटिक पॉलिसी. Okay, we know that carbon dioxide is increasing in the environment, and the global warming is increasing in the environment. Due to global warming, ग्लेशियर वाले जो रीजन्स हैं वहाँ पर ग्लेशियर मेल्ट हो रहा है, एंड ड्यू टू द मेल्टिंग ऑफ द ग्लेशियर देर आर मेनी शिपिंग रूट्स विच आर फॉर्मिंग, विच आर न्यूली बीइंग फॉर्म्ड, राइट. एंड to in order to tap in order to tap the resources present at such regions, especially the Arctic region, there are a lot of resources, a lot of hydrocarbons especially present at these regions. और ऐसे शिपिंग रूट्स जो नए बन रहे हैं, क्योंकि आइस तो वहाँ है नहीं, तो अभी शिपिंग रूट वहाँ बनना ईजी है, तो उन्हीं शिपिंग रूट्स को हम यूज करके वी विल बी एबल टू tap the resources present at such locations. This is the major idea behind forming such policy. So recently we have come up with this policy, India's Arctic policy. What is the context? I've already made you understand कि context यही है that this is a resource, this entire region is a resource rich region. Resource rich region as in we have a lot of hydrocarbons present here and we want to utilize it. ठीक है, okay. There are certain features of this policy. सबसे पहले मैं बताना चाहती हूँ that through this policy we want to enhance our cooperation with all the member states of Arctic Council, right? And secondly, we have our economic interest, which we have just discussed. Okay, talking about the member countries of this, for that I want all of you to see here. So the bordering countries, the member countries are Canada, as you can see here. This is US. Okay, this is Russia is also the member, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Iceland, Greenland, which is a part of Denmark. तो ये सारे जो countries हैं are the part of Arctic Council. If we talk about the India status, India holds a observer status. Observer status है हमारा Arctic Council में, ठीक. Okay, there are 6 pillars of this policy. सबसे पहला है science and research. We have come up with this policy because we want to research more about this particular region and we want to utilize the resources more. That is why, of course, that's the only reason. Second is economic and human development cooperation भी हमें चाहिए इस region के साथ. But then we also want climate and environment protection because this is a very fragile area. Environmental protection is very important. So this is also one of the points of our policy. Next is transportation and connectivity. Then we have governance and international cooperation, and then national building capacity, of course. ठीक है? So these are the 6 pillars of this policy. But what is very very important for you to understand is to know the entire reason behind it. ठीक है, कि क्या इसके पीछे reason था that we had to come up with this policy. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Next up we have IAF to employ direct tactical planning for S40. Okay, so the headline itself tell you the context that IAF is to employ the direct tactical planning for S40. तो नेक्स्ट चीज पे बढ़ते हैं, ठीक है, ये इंडियन एयरफोर्स की बात हो रही है. नेक्स्ट चीज पे बढ़ते हैं विच इज टू अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट S40 इटसेल्फ. सो S40 समझने के लिए वी नीड टू गो बैक टू 2018 जब हमने ये डील साइन करी थी with which country? Russia. So this is the first factual point you need to remember, that S40 is a deal which we have signed with Russia. They can give you an example ki Russia, whether it is Russia or US or which country. This is Russia. US to in fact is against it, is against this deal. Okay, so India has signed this $5 billion deal with Russia to buy how many? To buy 5 units of S-40 air defense missile system. If we talk about this missile system, as you can see here, let me show you in a bigger picture. Yeah, so this is S-40. ठीक है, आप एक बारी देख ले. Okay, if we talk about the features of it, so this is, we know this is a long range surface to air missile. This is a long range surface to air missile system. और इसकी range क्या है? Range is around 400 kilometers and the maximum altitude is 10,000 feet with a maximum speed of 48,000 ठीक है meter per second. And then we have deployment time भी इसका बहुत कम है, which is 10 minutes. ठीक है. And what are the specification it holds? So it has a command control system. उसके अलावा बहुत सारे radar units भी हैं इसमें. ठीक है. And it can shot down many targets at the same time. It says that it can shoot down at least 80 targets, simultaneous targets, including cruise, ballistic missiles, aircrafts, UAVs, ठीक है, और ground-based targets को भी ये shoot down कर सकता है, ठीक है. So these are some of the features, very bright features of S-40. That is why we're buying it, of course, ठीक. So but what is this one point here, CAATSA? यहाँ पर CAATSA का क्या role है? और countering America's adversary through Sanctions Act. Now, what is this we need to understand here? This is basically, आप बोल सकते हो, this is, these are kind of some sanctions which America put on any country who keeps any kind of relation or especially buy something, keeps some kind of trade with certain countries. Those countries are Russia, Iran, North Korea. अगर आपने इन 3 कंट्रीज के साथ कोई ट्रेड रिलेशंस रखे हैं या कुछ आप इंपोर्ट कर रहे हो स्पेशली, या फॉर दैट मैटर जस्ट ट्रेड रिलेशंस इफ यू हैव, देन America would have problem with this. America do not want. America says that if you are having relations with these countries, you need to phase our sanctions. We will put sanctions on you. We will put on sanctions on India, as this said, if you buy S-40, but still we bought it and still we are moving ahead with our deal. But anyways, we just had to understand what CAATSA is, what is the America's problem. ये America इन 3 countries के साथ का problem है. So this is basically to oppose these 3 countries. Okay, all right. So I hope the entire thing is clear to you. S-40 आपको clear हो गया. We have seen the features as well. ठीक है, चलिए. There's one point I'd like to tell here. That point is that S-40 and such missile systems are very, very important for any country, because we know that we have a lot of enemies और हमें पता है who is the biggest enemy. ठीक है, तो उसको counter करने के लिए भी and for our own national security, this is very, very important. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है that we are buying it to attack someone. No, but we have to defend also na ourselves. We have to defend our country as well. So for a defensive purpose, for our national security, we are buying such equipments, we're buying such missiles. चलिए, we have seen this. Next is Extinction Rebellion. Extinction Rebellion के लिए there is nothing much you need to remember. सबसे पहले तो इसको हम XRB लिखते हैं. You never know, UPSC can confuse with anything, so it is also written as XR. So we need to understand कि इसका context क्या है. And there's just one thing आपको इसमें याद रखना है. There's not so many things you need to remember. इसका context ये है कि ये basically एक group है which protests against the government, or it tries to awaken the government in order to tackle the climate change. So this is basically for the climate, to tackle the issues of climate change. This is a group, ये खुद का ही एक global level पे एक group है which do not take anybody's permission. They just come together, they plan things, they cooperate with each other, they come up with the plans and they do things to tackle the climate change. So this is their particular agenda, right? So they were protesting at many stages. That is why it was in news. Initially ये launch हुआ था UK में, ठीक है, and then it got spreaded across the globe. Even in India, we have 19 groups present of Extinction रिबेलियन, ठीक है, बहुत 19 ग्रुप्स हमारे देश में भी प्रेजेंट है. एंड इट बेसिकली वांट्स द गवर्नमेंट टू टेल द ट्रूथ, टू एक्ट नाउ, to tell the truth, what to tell, that how much climate is deteriorating and how much we need to act and how much we need to go beyond the politics and come to the real world to help ourselves and to help our climate, ठीक है, in order to confront the climate and ecological emergency that the world is faced with, right? So as I've told you, they talked about, or they work to uh, to cater the ecological emergency we are facing. So all you need to remember that is that it is related with the climate change or the climate emergency they are tackling. All right, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Next is Black Sea. Okay, so yeah, next is Black Sea. Here again, two things we'll be doing. First, we'll understand the context, and uske baad we'll see Black Sea, kuch bordering countries, uske we'll see everything. So the context is simple. There is an ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Uski wajah se there are so many places which are in news. There are so many new, not new, but there are so many concepts which are in news. So, and it is our duty that we complete, or we study all of them, because you never know UPSC क्या पूछ ले. तो Black Sea is one of those topics जो काफी news में है. उस route की वजह से it falls in that route only, in that Russia Ukraine वाला route. So it is important. Context is ongoing war between the two countries. If we talk about the sea, it basically it is a marginal Mediterranean Sea of the Atlantic Ocean, जो कि यूरोप और एशिया के बीच में lie करता है. Let me just show you in the map. So this is टर्की, यू विल सी हियर. उसके ऊपर आप यूक्रेन एंड रशिया देखेंगे. लेट मी क्विकली टेल यू द बॉर्डरिंग कंट्रीज ऑफ ब्लैक सी, विच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यूपीएससी. सो हियर इफ यू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम हियर, रोमानिया you will see which is bordering Black Sea. Bulgaria you will see. Then if we come to this side, Ukraine, Russia. So both the countries जो war में है, both of them are bordering Black Sea. This you need to remember. Then we have Georgia and Turkey we have, ठीक है. There is a very famous, you can say, a trick to remember these countries, which is BURGER, or burger, wherein B stands for Bulgaria, U is Ukraine, R is Russia, this is Georgia, and this another R is Romania. There's another country which is left here is Turkey. How I used to remember it is that there's a bird called turkey which is black in color. So I used to remember it with this, that black turkey. Okay, Black Sea, Turkey. So these are the countries you have to remember when it comes to countries bordering to Black Sea. If you see here, यहाँ पर यूक्रेन के नीचे, this is Crimean Peninsula, which Russia. This is different from the bordering countries, mind you. Okay, Russia got annexed. Russia annexed this. Russia annexed this in 2014. So this is a part of Russia only, ठीक है, तो हम इसको अलग से काउंट नहीं करेंगे. This point you can see here, यहाँ पे सेवास्तोपोल लिखा हुआ है. This is a port which Russia is using, और रशिया कहीं ना कहीं एक strategic point भी रहा है ये रशिया के लिए, right? So this is the map, a very very important map हमारे exam के लिए, and I am sure you all must have noted down the trick to remember the bordering countries of Black Sea. That was all about Black Sea. Next up we have social issues, and the first topic in social issue is prevention of sexual harassment or POSH Act, prevention of sexual harassment. कॉन्टेक्स्ट समझ लेते हैं. केरला से ये न्यूज़ बिलोंग करती है. केरला हाई कोर्ट ने रिसेंटली एक जजमेंट दिया है. व्हाट द जजमेंट वाज दैट देर आर सर्टन फिल्म इंडस्ट्री ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, या फिल्म इंडस्ट्री से रिलेटेड कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, उनको कोर्ट ने इंस्ट्रक्ट किया है दैट यू नीड टू सेट अप व्हाट, यू नीड टू सेट अप अ कमिटी हु कैन डील विद द सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट केसेस विद द वुमेन एट द वर्क प्लेस स्पेशली, ठीक है. If we talk about the static part of it, so there was Vishaka guidelines which came in 1997. Actually there was a group of women who filed this case, okay, in 1997. That is when Vishaka guidelines came. Now in 2013 POSH Act came, which is basically a larger version or a broadened version of Vishaka guidelines only. That is why, so this is a larger version or a broader version of Vishakha guidelines only, right, which came in 1997. If we talk about certain provisions of Posh Act 2003, या फिर so this is basically this is just the name written to it, Posh Act. If you talk about the definition definition is very very important, right? It's very important and it's very controversial too at times, और ये change भी होती रहती है, and changes must in certain in such definition. So let us read out the definition carefully, each and every word. It includes what? Any one or more of the following unwelcome acts or behavior committed directly or by implication. Okay, it is not that it is committed directly only. It can be directly or it can be either by its implication. Physical contact and advances, sexually colored remarks भी हो सकते हैं उसमें, showing pornography भी हो सकता है. It can be a demand or a request for sexual favors. It can also be any other unwelcome physical, even verbal, okay, and even non-verbal for that matter, right, conduct of sexual nature. So this is, as you can see, a very very broad definition, okay, which you have to remember. ठीक है, at times means में especially ये बहुत important हो जाता है. If you have to define it, you can directly define it, you can take words, or you can write it as it is. It creates impact to the examination, to the examiner. Okay, so this was about the act. There are certain more points to it. Let us read out them as well. तो कुछ और की प्रोविजंस हैं इसके. सबसे पहला की प्रोविजन है कि इस एक्ट के थ्रू वी हैव डिसाइडेड दैट देयर विल बी सर्टेन प्रोसीजर्स, ताकि उससे कंप्लेन्स हो सके और इफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन चीज़ों का हो सके. सो फॉर कंप्लेन्स एंड इंक्वायरी we have set up the entire thing. Second is it mandates employer also, जिसकी कंपनी में 10 से ज़्यादा women काम करती हैं, that they have to set up this entire thing, or they have to set up a committee, right, जहाँ पर they have to protect their women employees, right. Then we have, it lays down a procedure and defines various aspects of sexual harassment. This we have seen, and definition part is very important, okay, because finding loopholes in definition, at times what happens कि जो culprit होता है वो बच जाता है, because there are a lot of loopholes in the definition only. तो definition को अच्छे से define करना या फिर definition को अच्छे से लिखना is very important, is a very very important step. A woman can be of any age. This is very important. I want all of you to pay your attention here. A woman can be of any age. Okay? She can be employed or not, who alleged to have been subjected to any kind of sexual harassment that means the rights of all women working or visiting any workplace in any capacity. All of them are protected under this act. So these are the people who are, these will be the people who are protected, or I mean the women who will be protected under this act, right. चलिए, up next we have Meri Policy Mere Haath campaign. So recently Karnataka government has launched this policy, Meri Policy Mere Haath campaign. What is it related to, हम अभी समझेंगे. शॉर्टली हम समझ लेते हैं. दिस इज बेसिकली एक इंश्योरेंस के लिए एक पॉलिसी है, और यू कैन से दिस इज बेसिकली टू मोटिवेट ऑल द फार्मर्स इन द कंट्री टू इंश्योर देयर crop. So this is for the crop insurance. So where what they'll be doing, जो भी agents हैं, they will be coming to the doorsteps of the farmer, और वहीं पे उनके crops का insurance करके जाएंगे. That is why it is also called doorstep insurance policy. Insurance of what? Not the medical insurance. ये यहाँ पर बात नहीं हो रही है, यहाँ पर crop के insurance की बात हो रही है, ठीक है. And it comes under the प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना. It is a part of प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना only. If you talk about PMFBY, which is प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना, it got launched in 2016. ठीक है, हमें पता है इसमें बहुत सारे चीज़ें आती हैं, इसमें बहुत सारे फूड क्रॉप्स आते हैं, इसमें बहुत सारे ऑयल क्रॉप्स आते हैं, राइट. इसमें आपका कमर्शियल और हॉर्टिकल्चर क्रॉप्स भी आती हैं, right. And if we talk about the premium of it, so 1.5% जो प्रीमियम फार्मर्स को देना होता है, that is for खरीफ crops, which farmer pays. 2% they pay for rabi crops, and 5% they pay for horticulture crops or the commercial crops, right? So this was briefly about Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. I hope you've understood the campaign. Okay, insurance, it is for the insurance of the crops, right? चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Next topics are related with environment, and the first topic is a cyclone Asani. So 2-3 things you need to remember. सबसे पहले कहाँ पर ये बना था? So this was formed in Southwest Indian Ocean, right? Southwest Indian Ocean में ये बना था. Okay. Okay, and it is expected to travel along and off the coast of Andaman and Nicobar. So Andaman and Nicobar, you have to remember, हालांकि ये जाके जो fall off हुआ था, that was in, I guess, somewhere Myanmar and Bangladesh. But yes, it touched इंडिया एज वेल, अंडमान एंड निकोबार वाले एरिया में स्पेशली. तो वो आप याद रखें. साइक्लोनिक फॉर्मेशन आपको ज्योग्राफी में पढ़नी है, वो बहुत अच्छे से याद रखनी है. मैं क्विकली बता देती हूँ. कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी होती हैं, कुछ क्राइटेरिया होते हैं विच नीड्स टू गेट फुलफिल्ड फॉर अ साइक्लोन टू बी फॉर्म. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देयर शुड बी 27 डिग्री टेम्परेचर, कोरियोलिस फोर्स मस्ट बी प्रेजेंट. Then you can say vertical विंड शेयर कम होना चाहिए ताकि क्लाउड्स की फॉर्मेशन हो जाए ऊपर वाली लेयर पे, राइट? ह्यूमिडिटी प्रेजेंट होनी चाहिए. देयर शुड बी अ लो प्रेशर इन द आई. ठीक है, these are some of the criteria. There are many other criteria as well, but these are some of the criteria to for the formation of a cyclone. ठीक है, cyclone Asani. Okay, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज चीता रीइंट्रोडक्शन प्रोजेक्ट. हम सबको पता है दैट इन आवर कंट्री चीताज आर नॉट प्रेजेंट. दे गॉट एक्सटेंड इन 1952. छत्तीसगढ़ में लास्ट टाइम देखा गया था. उसके बाद वी डू नॉट हैव चीताज इन आवर कंट्री. ओके, इनिशियली इन 2009 what we did, our government planned to relocate them from some other country. So we requested Iran initially to import to give some cheetahs to us, but they denied क्योंकि वहाँ पर भी कहीं ना कहीं इनका population कम हो रहा है. So they denied. Then next we approached to Africa finally they accepted our demand, and they finally they are giving us cheetah finally now. Where we will be locating them? We will be relocating them in Kuno National Park, which is situated in where? In Madhya Pradesh. Let me show this to you in map. This is the map of India, और यहाँ पर मध्य प्रदेश है जहाँ पर Kuno Wildlife Sanctuary present है, जहाँ पर हम इनको relocate करने वाले हैं, right? So we know, I think the entire context is clear to you. 1957 में extinct हुए थे, 2009 में we decided to bring them back again, and the entire job was given to NTCA, which is National Tiger Conservation Authority, right? So चीता एक्सटेंड हो गया था, हम रीलोकेट कर रहे हैं फ्रॉम अफ्रीका टू कूनो नेशनल पार्क विच इज सिचुएटेड इन मध्य प्रदेश. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट देयर IUCN status, this is very interesting and you must focus attention, you must pay attention here. Their IUCN status is vulnerable. If we talk about African cheetah, ठीक है, because we know Africa mein there is a significant number of cheetah present even today. That is why vulnerable, they have been categorized in the vulnerable category. But if we talk about the Asiatic cheetah, or we can say they are critically endangered. This category is given to Asiatic cheetah. Right? So this is, I found it little interesting. So you must pay attention here. You must write it in your notes. Okay? So this was about reintroduction project of cheetah. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Next is science and technology, and the first topic is small satellite launch vehicle or SSLV. So the context is recently ISRO has geared up for his maiden flight of the mini rocket launcher, जो कि है SSLV. स्मॉल सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल. एक्चुअली ये पहले नहीं था, दिस विल बी द फर्स्ट फ्लाइट. इससे पहले हम PSLV ही यूज़ करते थे फॉर स्मॉलर प्रोजेक्ट्स, बट नाउ दैट वी हैव इंट्रोड्यूस दिस, तो अभी कुछ प्राइवेट कंपनीज हो गए, बहुत सारे यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स को भी अपने छोटे प्रोजेक्ट्स लॉन्च करने होते हैं. सो उन सब की डिमांड्स को ये केटर करने वाला है. ठीक है, अगर हम SSLV की कुछ बात करें, सो दिस इज बेसिकली, दिस विल बी अंडर लो कॉस्ट, राइट? अराउंड 500 kg तक का इसका जो भी पेलोड कैपेबिलिटी है, दैट इज अराउंड 500 kg. वेर इफ वी टॉक अबाउट PSLV, उसकी पेलोड कैपेसिटी इज अराउंड 1000 kilograms, ठीक है, and it will be having 3 stages, right? And launch on demand होगा इसका, और payload capacity हम पढ़ चुके हैं. So this will be very easy to use, especially for some of the private companies and for those students, for the university students, for their projects, right? Now, an important thing is to understand. I'll also touch upon the differences between PSLV and GSLV, which is very important again for our examination. सबसे पहले PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, it is basically, or it delivers the Earth observation, ठीक है, या फिर remote sensing satellites. Wherein GSLV जो है ये communication satellites होती है, या फिर आप बोल सकते हो they deliver the communication satellite. This is the major difference you need to remember. Another major difference you need to remember is PSLV is a 4-stage launch vehicle and GSLV is 3-stage launch vehicle. This UPSC has asked also previously. I think in 2017 or 18 UPSC has asked this, whether it is 4-stage or 3-stage. So PSLV is 4-stage, jahan par first and third stage has the solid rocket motors, and the second and the fourth stages uses the liquid engines or the liquid rocket engines. Whereas GSLV में 3 stages होती हैं, जहां पर first stage is solid stage, and second stage is liquid stage, and the third stage uses the cryogenic engines. ठीक है? So this brief difference you have to remember. All right. चलिए. Next and the last topic of the day is major upgrade for India infrastructure along LAC or line of actual control. To understand the entire concept, we need to understand about Vibrant Village Initiative. So we know, आए दिन हम news में पढ़ते रहते हैं that China has constructed some villages at the border area of Arunachal Pradesh, ठीक है, या फिर China हमारी territory में घुस गया है. तो in order to overcome such things, in order to counter such things, we've come up with this new initiative called Vibrant Village Initiative, जहां पर हम क्या करने वाले हैं, we will be there are 2 things we will be doing under this. First, we will be providing or we will be doing infrastructure projects along the border areas. And second, we will be countering China. Actually, this is the major agenda, that we will be countering China. But how we will do it? By providing infrastructure to the bordering areas. And what bordering areas we have? अगर हम पहले देखें तो ये सबसे पहला जो western sector है, यहाँ पर हमारा LAC है, ठीक है. This is the Aksai Chinwala region, right? This is the middle region, जो कि तिब्बत से अटैच है. हालांकि हम इस पे सॉर्ट आउट चीजें कर चुके हैं, बट चाइना उसको नहीं मानता. देन वी हैव दिस अरुणाचल प्रदेश वाला, और द मैकमोहन लाइन वी हैव हियर. So these 3 are the disputed territories, or the disputed border areas between India and China. We know this. So what exactly we are going to do this under Vibrant Village Initiative? That we will be providing infrastructure, we will be providing electricity to the border people, we will be providing education to the border people or the border areas, right? We will be providing infrastructure, I have included, right? So basically we are going to make them economically well off, economically, educationally, ठीक है, socially. We are going to make them well off. This is our idea behind, ताकि वो कहीं ना कहीं उनका migration जो है, because people migrate also ना, and this is a very big problem for us. अगर हमारे border area के लोग ही migrate करके चले जाएंगे कहीं, तो ये बहुत problematic है. तो हम उनको facilities ही provide करें वहाँ पर ऐसी, ताकि उनका migration ना हो पाए. So this is also one of the reasons कि हम Vibrant Village Initiative लेके आए हैं, apart from countering China also, ठीक है. So this was about today's lecture. This was about 3rd week of March. I hope it was helpful. Or prelims is nearing. All the best to everyone for your prelims. Thank you so much.